Developing right now on Morning News Now, Mother Nature wreaking havoc on the Midwest. This morning, entire neighborhoods left devastated after days of downpours, with another round of severe weather on the way, threatening several states with heavy rain, damaging wind, even tornadoes. Meanwhile, tens of millions of Americans bracing for another day of record heat. We have a team tracking it all. Also this morning, a legal victory for Donald Trump after a New York judge lifts part of his gag order in his historic hush money trial. All this ahead of tomorrow's first presidential debate between former President Trump and President Biden. We'll break down the issues and what's at stake. Plus, voters in New York delivering a major blow to progressives. NBC News projecting Westchester County executive and moderate George Latimer beats two-term incumbent Jamaal Bowman in the primaries.
We have to have unity all across that continuum. And if you hold a strong belief, you still must work with other people who don't share that belief, because America hangs in the balance.
We'll have the latest returns after a bitter and expensive campaign. And a new warning from doctors about an increased risk of the mosquito-borne dengue fever. The message from the CDC and what you can do to protect yourself. Plus, hoop dreams about to become reality for some of basketball's rising stars. We'll run you through the top talent in tonight's NBA draft, plus whether LeBron James' son, Bronny, could end up playing with his dad. That would be a sports story I'd follow.
Exactly. The draft becoming almost as exciting as the playoffs, it seems like, every single year. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this Wednesday, as Joe just said, with the devastating floods drowning parts of the Midwest. At least 2 people are dead after days of torrential rain breached levees and forced evacuations in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa.
This storm system is now heading east. Tens of millions of people across the mid-Atlantic are bracing for damaging winds, hail, even the possibility of tornadoes later today. In addition to those storms, we're keeping an eye on the heat. It is still dangerously hot across the U.S. Millions are under heat alerts as a number of cities along the East Coast are on track to reach record high temperatures. Our team is tracking this extreme weather. NBC News meteorologist Angie Lassman is here with the forecast. But we start with NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus, who's on the ground in Minnesota.
Joe and Savannah, indeed, catastrophic flooding across the Midwest, including here in Mankato. The urgent plea this morning is to keep people away. City officials are asking folks not to show up here trying to take pictures of the scene you see behind me. That's because if someone were to accidentally fall in, first responders would have no way to go in to rescue those folks. And overnight, more devastation here. A home that stood behind us for more than 50 years fell into the river, and folks watched and gasped audibly. We spoke with those homeowners. They also own a business that's been in operation over 100 years. It's been with their family for 52 years. They are hoping this morning that their business does not collapse. For right now, that dam remains intact. City officials say it's unclear whether or not it will remain in place. Back to you.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much. Let's bring in meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Yeah, she's here keeping an eye on those severe storms for us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We've got a big chunk of the country today that's going to gear up for some strong storms, potentially severe weather, and it lasts through even the evening hours in some spots. So let's start with what we're dealing with right now. This morning, we're really going to be focused on parts of the Midwest, parts of the plains. We've got specifically Springfield, Fayetteville, all under these severe thunderstorm watches. We've seen multiple severe thunderstorm watches and warnings across this region so far this morning, and there's more where that comes from here as we go through the day. Here's the big picture look of where we're going to watch for some of those stronger storms to develop, especially as we get into the second half of the day and into the afternoon, evening hours, and ultimately overnight hours. It's going to be the mid-Atlantic and parts of the Northeast that we really focus on. So Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New York, Atlantic City, Washington, D.C., all included in this area that could see some really strong wind gusts specifically. That's one of our things that we're most concerned about, but also the large hail, an isolated tornado, not out of the question for that region. Here's the system that we're going to watch. Remember, I said this morning, the severe threat really focused across parts of the plains. So Missouri, parts of the Midwest, we'll see that. But then as we get into the evening hours, especially for that afternoon commute, it's going to be likely across the I-95 corridor that we see some impacts, some delays. So just gear up for that. Prepare for it here if you're going to be heading home at that time in that region. And then notice how, if you watch the clock, this really works through into the overnight hours. So the good news of it is that we'll see nicer conditions, drier conditions conditions by the time we get up in the morning and make that early morning commute tomorrow. But the bad news is we're still going to have that severe risk lingering into the overnight hours tonight. It'll move offshore, though. We'll see some nicer sky conditions on the backside of it, but we've got to get through today where we have the potential for all of those impacts. You heard Adrian talking about the flooding. Here's the current state of the river flooding across parts of the Midwest. We do have multiple spots that are dealing with moderate to major river flooding. We're going to watch for this to continue here at least through the next couple of days, but we'll slowly start to see that recede. But in the meantime, we could see another maybe quarter of an inch in some of these spots. We could see a half an inch, and then some of those higher amounts are farther south. You can see Des Moines, Omaha included in that, where we could see an inch to maybe an inch and a half or even up to 2 inches. And on top of all that, of course, we've got the heat to talk about. 48 million people included in this. We've got the heat alerts across parts of the southern plains out to the southeast. This skies is going to last with us for at least the next couple of days. We've got 90s today and triple-digit heat index values in a lot of spots, but we've also got actual triple digits in some places like Raleigh, Atlanta, Dallas. You're going to feel the heat for sure, and that'll continue with us tomorrow. So not only is it the severe weather, guys, but also that severe heat this week is going to continue to be impactful when it comes to weather.
Actual triple digits.
Actual triple digits.
Okay.
Yeah,
Find your
it
cool
just feels
spot.
like, oh, all right, Angie, thank you so much. Well, turning now to the legal battles facing former President Trump. The judge that presided over his New York hush money trial is now lifting some of the restrictions from the gag order in that case. Under this new ruling, Trump is now able to speak freely about the witnesses who testified against him and the jury that convicted him. But the former president still has limitations. The judgment left in place part of the order, barring Trump from discussing the case with court staff, individual prosecutors, and family members of any counsel. Trump was held in contempt 10 times during the trial, leading to $10,000 in fines. According to Tuesday's ruling, the restrictions remain in place until Trump's sentencing on July 11th.
And speaking of the former president, he and President Joe Biden just one day away from facing off in their first debate of this 2024 election cycle. For many people, this debate could be the deciding factor in how they're going to vote this November, especially for folks in Erie, Pennsylvania. 20% of GOP voters in Erie County cast a primary ballot for Nikki Haley. Now, both sides are battling for these more moderate Haley voters. Perhaps they'll be swayed by Mr. Trump's VP pick, which could be announced as early as this week, according to 4 people familiar with the situation. NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns has the latest.
We've been talking about frustrated voters, about apathetic voters, about double haters. Well, there's a very specific slice of that voter demographic, and they are people who went out and cast their ballots for Nikki Haley in the primary after she had already dropped out of the race. They did that to send a message, and one place they did that is in battleground Pennsylvania in the county of Erie.
This is not your mother or father's Republican Party, and some people don't feel at home in it anymore.
Politically homeless is how Republican voters in Erie County, Pennsylvania often describe themselves if they don't want to vote for former President Trump.
You voted in the Pennsylvania primary for a candidate that wasn't in the race anymore.
Right.
Why?
I just felt it was important that my voice was heard. And I think to really send a message that there are others out there like me, that would prefer an alternative to President Trump. So I thought it was important just to show support for Governor Haley.
Kurt is not alone. Nikki Haley won 20% of Republican primary voters in his home county of Erie, Pennsylvania, after leaving the race, and more than 16% of battleground Pennsylvania overall. Part of a protest vote pattern seen around the country. The question now, where do those voters go in November?
Right now, my vote would probably be between Biden and a protest vote.
The Biden campaign says it's doing substantive outreach to welcome and win over these Republican voters, including a 7-figure ad buy.
How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters back into the tent?
I'm not sure we need too many.
The debate, a major moment for these voters.
A 90-minute debate on his feet with no notes is going to tell the nation whether Biden's able to run for another 4 years or not.
Dave voted for Trump in 2016 and President Biden in 2020. After voting for Haley in this year's primary, he struggles with voting for either man in November.
There are a lot of people that don't love Trump,
Oh, tons.
but are going to vote for him anyway.
Absolutely.
Where do you think that's coming from?
Because they don't like Biden. The inflation and the immigration primarily.
So I will be voting for Trump.
Like Nikki Haley, who says she plans to vote for Trump, some of these Republican voters will go home to the Republican nominee. But local political scientist Dr. Jeffrey Bloodworth says some of these voters are shifting permanently.
The Nikki Haley voters in Erie County are the same as they are everywhere in America. They're college-educated Republicans who live in the suburbs. The Democrats and the Republicans are kind of trading coalitions. Even brown and African-American working class voters are moving to the Republican Party. In exchange, the Democrats are gaining college-educated voters.
Haley voters Rich and Mary are part of that shift.
You have another opportunity to vote in November. What are you going to do?
I'm going to vote for Joe Biden.
Same here.
You think there's a silent Biden voter out there?
I do. I know there is. I know there's a silent. Men and women. We don't want to talk about it, but we're all going to vote for Joe Biden.
But they're not ready to call themselves Democrats.
At one point, I thought about switching registration. I got very close, yeah. And I finally decided I'm not really a Democrat.
Now, both candidates have campaigned in Pennsylvania. The former president was just in Philadelphia over the weekend. The Biden campaign argues that this shift of black and brown voters towards the right, towards former President Trump, isn't as big of a deal as the media makes it out to be. And the former president's team argues that Nikki Haley voters will ultimately come back into the fold. But as we talk to experts, as we talk to voters, we are seeing this real realignment on the ground. The question is, how will that math actually work out when it comes to November?
All right, Dasha, thank you. And NBC News Now will have special live coverage and analysis of tomorrow's debate, which is hosted by CNN. Our coverage gets underway at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The actual debate begins at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific Time here on NBC News Now, as well as NBC.
Well, let's stick with politics. We've got another primary night in the books, and the results could have a potential impact on the balance of power in Washington.
In a race that saw historic levels of spending, NBC News projects that New York Democratic Congressman Jamaal Bowman lost his primary battle for the 16th Congressional District against Westchester County Executive George Latimer. This race exposed the Democratic Party's divisions over the war in Gaza. We're joined now by NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray to help us break it all down. Mark, good morning. So let's begin with that New York race. George Latimer, the more moderate candidate, called for more civility following this incredibly expensive, contentious primary. Let's listen to a bit of his victory speech and talk about it on the other side.
We turn a page and we say that we believe in inclusion of everybody in our representation. That you are included no matter what your demographic is.
So the incumbent Congressman Jamaal Bowman, a vocal Israel critic, member of the so-called squad among House Democrats. How did Latimer come out on top last night?
Yeah, Joe, I think the better way to describe it is how Jamaal Bowman ended up losing this primary, and he was largely out of step with it. This congressional district is pretty much a lot of Westchester County, so right outside of New York City and its suburbs. And the positions that Jamaal Bowman took on the Israel-Hamas war, as well as even voting against President Biden's Infrastructure Act, really became toxic for him. And Latimer, with a big ally and outside spending, particularly from the super PAC, from the pro-Israel group AIPAC, ended up hammering Bowman on those messages. And it is also important to note that this district did change a little bit after redistricting and became a little bit less from the Bronx and much more Westchester County.
Mark, let's switch over to Colorado. NBC News is projecting Congresswoman Lauren Boebert as the winner in her Republican primary. Interesting sort of backstory here, though. She actually was running in a different district this year from the one that she is currently in and serving for, or she narrowly won re-election in 2022. Walk us through this race.
Yeah, Savannah, that point about her narrow win in 2022, she ended up switching districts after Ken Buck resigned from Congress. The Colorado 4 district where Boebert decided to run is a lot more Republican leaning and a lot safer than her old Colorado 3 district. She's set up to win re-election in the fall, and that Colorado 3 district is worth watching in November because it is a little bit more competitive. But bottom line, Boebert decided to leave what looked like a really tough race for a more favorable terrain.
We talked about tension within the Democratic Party. There's also tension within the Republican Party. Several candidates on ballots yesterday were backed by former President Trump but lost their primaries. Tell us more about that.
Maybe the most prominent example, Joe, is in the primary to replace Mitt Romney in Utah to be senator. You ended up having current Congressman John Curtis win that primary over the Trump-backed Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs. And, you know, we often make a big deal about Donald Trump's endorsed candidates winning in these Republican primaries, but we often get reminders that that always isn't the case, and including in places like Utah last night, as well as in some congressional districts in Colorado, the Trump-backed candidate ended up losing.
Mark Murray, as always, we appreciate you walking us through this. Thank you.
The trial of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich got underway in Russia overnight. The American journalist was arrested there 15 months ago on charges of espionage. Gershkovich, the Wall Street Journal, and the U.S. government all deny these accusations. Cameras captured the moment in the courtroom ahead of the trial start when he was in there. But beyond that, the proceedings are going forward behind closed doors. For more, we're joined by NBC News reporter Matt Bodner. So, Matt, walk us through what we've seen so far. Specifically, what are Russian prosecutors alleging here, and how is this trial expected to proceed?
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Well, things moved very quickly this morning with the court first allowing reporters and U.S. Embassy personnel access to Gershkovich before the start of today's hearing. We have these fresh images of him in that courtroom, appearing with a shaved head from the city of Yekaterinburg. That is where he was arrested last year. Previously, we've seen him a number of times in Moscow courts appealing his pre-trial detention. We've moved on from that phase today, of course, the trial beginning with that first hearing. The court did issue a statement after about 2 hours saying that investigators are accusing him of traveling to Yekaterinburg on assignment for the CIA to collect information on tank production at Uralvagonzavod. That is Russia's largest tank factory. The unfortunate fact of the matter is that we very much expect the trial to go on like this from here on out. That is behind closed doors. Espionage trials in Russia are often held in secret. The state claims that this is due to the evidence itself being secret. So we're very much unlikely to hear much about what is transpiring until he is presumably sentenced. That could still be some time away. The next hearing in this case has been scheduled, but not until August 13th, so about 6 weeks away. And I think it's also very important for the record that judicial acquittals in the Russian judicial system are exceedingly rare. They're less than 1% of cases. An acquittal in an espionage trial, especially during this war in Ukraine, is virtually unheard of.
So, as we said, Matt, he's been locked up for nearly 15 months now. What kind of support is he receiving from U.S. Embassy officials and also from the Wall Street Journal?
Sure. The reality of the situation, there's only so much that can be done at this point. He's very much in Russian custody. The embassy itself in Moscow is mostly a skeleton crew at this point for a bunch of different reasons. But they do attend every hearing that they are allowed to attend. Today, they were not allowed into the actual hearing itself. The Wall Street Journal, for its part, has obviously done everything it can do to support his case and keep this story in the headlines. But ultimately, Gershkovich is counting on mercy from the Kremlin.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has previously said he's open to the idea of a prisoner swap. Is that a realistic option right now, especially with what's going on in Ukraine? Where do we stand with that?
Anything is possible. Certainly with President Putin and the Russians, anything is possible. They can change their mind on any of this at any point. It's correct. We have heard him say that he thinks Gershkovich should go home. But unfortunately, we've seen no meaningful public movement on that. What we can do, I think, is look at analogous cases, those being the detentions of other Americans, such as Brittany Griner on drug smuggling charges, or more appropriately, Paul Whelan on espionage charges. In each one of those cases, the Russian talking point, without exception, has been that the Russian courts are independent. No talk of trade can begin until the court has reached a verdict. And then President Putin will have legal options to either pardon or conduct some kind of trade. We heard that again this morning from the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, reiterating that position on his daily briefing. It's unlikely we're going to hear too much more from the Kremlin on a potential trade until this trial has ended.
Yeah, I mean, and Matt, remind us, it is not just Gershkovich, but there are other people who have been in prison there for even longer, so that complicates any prisoner swap, right?
Absolutely. So right now we still have Paul Whelan in Russian custody, and that case is very important to keep an eye on. There are, of course, a number of others, but Whelan is extremely important here because he is the other American on espionage charges. There's been 2 major trades over the past few years with some of these cases. As I mentioned, Brittany Griner. There was also Trevor Reed, a former U.S. Marine who was incarcerated in Russia on charges of assaulting an officer. They both were traded for Russian arms dealers. Two names, actually, that the entire time that Whelan has been in custody for about 5 years now were always the names that were presumed or floated in the Russian press and other sources as the likely contender for who the Russians were trying to get in these trades. But both of those men have been traded back to the Russians. It's not entirely clear who they're playing for at this point. There's some talk about a Chechen assassin that the Germans have in custody. That, of course, becomes very complicated because it's no longer a U.S. to Russia trade. It's Russia, Germany, U.S. So there's a lot of mechanics here. But as you say, important to remember, Gershkovich is not the only one. There is another espionage case in Russia that has been going on for 5 years. Whelan's still there. There have been multiple trades. This could go on for some time still.
All right, Matt Bodner, appreciate your reporting this morning. Thank you so much. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a major announcement from the Surgeon General as he declares gun violence a public health crisis. More on his landmark message.
Up first after the break, fear and famine in Gaza will take you to the Middle East following another round of deadly airstrikes. We will be right back. We are back with the latest on the war in Gaza. This morning, multiple Palestinians were killed in a new round of Israeli airstrikes that targeted the length of the Palestinian enclave. The attack comes after a new report by a UN-backed global hunger monitor found that a high risk of famine persists in Gaza, with nearly 500,000 people facing catastrophic levels of food insecurity. NBC News correspondent Matt Bradley joins us from Tel Aviv. Matt, good morning. What do we know about these latest airstrikes?
Yeah, good morning, guys. So what we're seeing is airstrikes across the length of the Gaza Strip from north to south, but actually mostly focused, it sounds like, on the northern part of the Gaza Strip and the southern part of the Gaza Strip. We heard from Gazan health authorities. They said that some 70 people or more have been killed in just the past 24 hours. And one of the more notable incidents were strikes on 2 different schools that had been used to house, it sounds like, as refuge for some people. And there was also a strike that killed 10 members of the family of Ismail Haniyeh. He is the political head of Hamas, including his sister. So, again, we're still seeing targeted attacks against Hamas leaders and their families, as well as, it sounds like, schools that the Israelis have said that the Hamas was using essentially as human shields. Guys?
Matt, as I mentioned a moment ago, this all comes amid that new report that paints a devastating picture of the food situation inside Gaza. How bad is it, and how much aid is getting in right now?
Yeah, so this report comes from the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, and that's a very lofty title for basically an advocacy group that takes in data from different UN organizations. Now, they said that some 500,000 people in the Gaza Strip, and this is an enclave that houses about 2.2 million people, that 500,000 of them, so a quarter of them, face levels of catastrophic levels of hunger. So this is an acute issue that has been going on. It's not new. It's been happening for the past several months. It's been getting worse and worse, though the report did stop short of saying that there was famine or there was a state of famine in the Gaza Strip or throughout the entire Gaza Strip. Now, we spoke with some people who are dealing with aid distribution in Gaza. UNRWA, which is the UN body that's mostly in charge of helping the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, they said that the main challenge here is getting the food distributed within the Gaza Strip, but also getting it in, because the Israelis insist on checking everything that goes in, and that makes the bottleneck very, very difficult. The Israelis have only really opened one border crossing that's open right now, Kerem Shalom, the border crossing from Rafah, that is right in that city of Rafah, that crosses over into Egypt. That is closed. So there is a major bottleneck when it comes to getting goods in. The Israelis in the past couple of weeks have instituted what they have called tactical pauses. Now, this is a daytime, about several hours during daylight hours, when they're not going to be attacking a main road that leads from the Kerem Shalom border crossing deeper into the Gaza Strip. Now, apparently, according to the Israelis, they've been delivering lots of goods through this route, and the aid agencies have not been picking them up and distributing them. And then at the same time, that floating pier that the U.S. has built, which is now back docked against the coast of Gaza, it is not as operational as it seems like American authorities would have hoped that it was. So we're still seeing a real slowing of the distribution of aid within the Gaza Strip. And it's not just because of one particular factor. There are different factors that go into this. The result is hunger, and a devastating level of hunger that is only going to be getting worse. Guys.
Matt, we are also following the visit of Israel's defense minister here to the U.S. This comes as relations between the two countries are somewhat frayed, certainly more so than we've ever seen them. Yesterday, he met with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. We understand Lebanon was a big talking point, right? Tell us what else happened in this meeting.
And that's really interesting and revealing that Lebanon has kind of become the main topic. Now, he also talked about other issues, including the more vexing problem of what happens the day after Hamas is defeated in the Gaza Strip. This has been an abiding complaint of the Biden administration, that there is no plan for what happens the day after in the Gaza Strip, and also aid distribution, which I just mentioned just a moment ago. But the fact that Lebanon has now become front and center in the conversation between White House officials and the Netanyahu administration here in Israel is revealing. We heard from Netanyahu earlier this week saying that they were entering, or the intensive phase of the fighting in the Gaza Strip was now ending, or at least the fighting in Rafah on the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And he mentioned that this would allow the IDF to reposition or redeploy more forces to the northern part of Israel, where they're going to be facing Hezbollah, which is, like Hamas, an Iran-backed group, but it's based in southern Lebanon. Now, all of those conversations that we're talking about with Lloyd Austin and with Yoav Gallant, the Minister of Defense, they're not just focused on Hezbollah and Lebanon. They're also focused on Iran, because Hezbollah, among all of the different cat's paws that Iran has in the Middle East, Hezbollah benefits more than just about any of them, even more than Hamas, from Iranian largesse. And they're closer to Tehran than perhaps any of these other groups. So when we talk about Hezbollah, when American policymakers talk about it, they're talking about Iran and about the threat of a region-wide war that could wrap in the United States and Israel as well.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you very much for your reporting.
More international news now. In Kenya, protests over proposed tax hikes have turned deadly.
Claudio Labanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah Jo, good morning. Well, that's right. At least according to human rights group, at least 5 people were killed during street protests over this new tax proposal in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. Now, during the demonstration, thousands of people stormed into Kenya's parliament and set part of it on fire. The police responded by firing live and rubber bullets at the crowd. In a post on X, Amnesty Kenya said at least 5 people were killed and 31 others were injured. Among the protesters was also Oma Obama, the sister of former President Obama, who was interviewed live on CNN while protesters were being tear-gassed. Let's now go to China, where 3 people were injured in a knife attack at a school bus stop on Monday, including a Japanese woman. According to the Japanese embassy there, a man stabbed a woman and her child at a bus stop for a Japanese school and then seriously injured a Chinese woman on the bus who tried to stop him from boarding it. The attacker was arrested on the scene. The motive for the attack was unclear, but Chinese authorities said China will continue to take effective measures to protect the safety of all foreigners in the country. And let's end this tour of the world in Brazil, where on Tuesday, the Supreme Court voted to decriminalize possession of marijuana for personal use. The court must still determine what maximum quantity of marijuana will be considered for personal use and decide when the new ruling will come into effect. But recently, following a law passed in 2006, individuals carrying small amounts of drugs, including marijuana, could be punished. But experts say the law was too vague and didn't establish what personal use meant. Selling drugs there, of course, remains illegal. Back to you guys.
All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
Coming up, millions of dollars in student debt now hanging in the balance after 2 federal judges paused the president's loan forgiveness plan. We'll tell you more on the rulings and what it could mean for borrowers.
Plus, it has been 1 year since the Don't Say Gay law was expanded in Florida. Now transgender students there are fighting to be seen. That story next on Morning News Now.
We are back now with the latest in the battle over student loan debt relief.
That relief is now hanging in the balance for millions of Americans after 2 federal judges temporarily halted key parts of President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has more on what this means for borrowers.
A campaign promise aimed at millions of student borrowers hangs in the balance.
We made a commitment to fix our broken student loan system.
One of President Biden's programs to slash student loan debt is partially on hold after 2 federal judges temporarily blocked further relief from what's known as the SAVE plan. 8 million borrowers are enrolled in the program that ties the amount of loan repayment to income and family size. Under its rules, about 4 million borrowers qualify for no monthly payment. Others get a deep reduction. Austin Davis is a special education teacher who says he and his wife Brooke saw their monthly payments drop from nearly $1,600 down to $480.
Without this, we would not have been able to afford the cost to be able to have our own house to live with our daughter.
2 separate lawsuits were brought by Republican attorneys general across 18 states, arguing that the education secretary overstepped his authority and that states holding loans could be harmed.
The president has no textual basis in law for this plan, and I'm not going to let Joe Biden saddle working Missouri families with Ivy League debt.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona.
People shouldn't have to choose between groceries and the student loans. Some Republicans are working harder to stop what we're doing to help than to offer any solutions.
The administration says it intends to vigorously defend the relief program. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, the White House.
A warning from the CDC about a rise in cases of dengue fever. Up next in our weekly checkup, what doctors want you to know about the mosquito-borne illness and how you can keep yourself and your family safe.
Plus, they are the ballers of tomorrow. Some of basketball's top talent getting ready for tonight's NBA draft. More on who could be the first pick and whether LeBron James' son could end up playing with his dad. That would be so cool. You're watching Morning News Now. We are back with a landmark announcement by the Surgeon General. Dr. Vivek Murthy is declaring gun violence a public health crisis in the U.S. This is the first time the nation's leading public health body is focusing its attention on the effect of guns. In a 40-page advisory, Dr. Murthy says gun violence poses, quote, a serious threat to the health and well-being of our country. He goes on to say he's seen families robbed of their physical and mental health by senseless acts of violence.
Time now for our weekly medical checkup. With more heat comes more mosquitoes, and officials are warning those pesky bugs are increasing our risk for illness.
Plus, if you suffer from back pain, you might want to take a walk. A new study shows that walking could help relieve some of those aches. Today, we've got NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar with us to break down these headlines. Dr. Azar, thanks for being here. Okay, let's start on mosquitoes. The CDC issued this health alert yesterday about an increased risk of this particular illness, dengue fever. What do we need to know?
So, first, I always want to say this is definitely an important development because there has been a significant rise in the cases of dengue compared to this time last year. But it's important to remember that here in the continental U.S., if you're not traveling to areas that are seeing this particular bump in cases, such as Puerto Rico and the Americas, where they have seen a significant bump, you're not going to be significantly at risk at home. But if you've traveled there within the last 14 days, it is definitely important. And the thing is, dengue, like a lot of different, mosquito-borne illnesses, can cause pretty nonspecific symptoms in the beginning, like some fever, some nausea, some headache, rash, that kind of thing. It's really one of those things that not only for us as individuals, but healthcare professionals to be on alert if someone has traveled recently to those places. So doctors' orders are, and this is, I think, an important reminder, not just for dengue, but any mosquito-borne illnesses, how can you protect yourself is by wearing long sleeves, pants, and specifically using EPA-registered repellents like DEET, picaridin, those kinds of things. They protect you against mosquito bites, and they also will protect you against ticks.
That's so important.
Which is very important. Yes. All right, let's talk about a new global study that talks about walking regularly to help alleviate back pain.
Right.
So How often should you do this? How far should you walk?
So 800 million people in the world complain of back pain. In fact, we always usually say that it's the second most common reason that people go to the doctor's office, which always begs the question, what's the first most common? And I actually don't know the answer to that. But anyway, this study looked at what can you do?
Look at video from the 80s.
If you have, right, exactly, low back pain, something that is effective, that's accessible, that is cost effective. And they found that people who did a 6-month structured walking intervention went twice as long before they had a recurrence of their back pain. It reduced the need to see the doctor, and it lessened time that was taken off of work. So doctor's orders are, your target is about a 30-minute walk 5 times per week, which, you know, you can do that with a commute. It doesn't even need to be a set-aside time that you're exercising. But I love this, especially as a rheumatologist, and everyone is complaining of back pain. It's a lot cheaper than going to a gym. You don't need equipment. You don't need a therapist even. You just get on some good walking shoes and go for a walk.
There you go. I like to walk home, so that's good for me. Let's talk about intermittent fasting.
Yes.
I feel like we've talked about this so many times, and it's like sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes there's a safety concern. Where are we at right now?
So, right, we do talk about intermittent fasting a lot, like we do with any sort of, you know, trendy fad or a new diet. And so what this study was specifically looking at is that there are a lot of myths that surround intermittent fasting, and these researchers wanted to look at 4 of them specifically. 1, does intermittent fasting lead to a poor diet? Does it cause eating disorders? Does it cause muscle loss? And does it affect hormones? And they found that on all 4 of these things, intermittent fasting tended to not cause these problems. And when we talk about a poor diet, they were specifically looking at, if you do intermittent fasting, are you more likely to eat sugar or fat or food that is low in fiber? And they found not. A point I want to make about eating disorders. While the study found that the intermittent fasting did not lead to eating disorders, it is still not recommended for individuals who have a history of an eating disorder. And also a word for pediatricians, maybe not to recommend intermittent fasting to adolescents who are at higher risk for eating disorders. My doctor's orders are this. Of course, intermittent fasting, even with these myths, may not be true for everybody. And you also want to, anytime you're about to initiate a new diet, you want to talk to your doctor about it, especially the thing about the lean muscle mass and stuff. Maybe in some cases you might want to increase protein to offset some of that loss. But I think it was an interesting study because a lot of these myths do circulate around these fad diets a lot.
All right, Dr. Azar, thanks as always.
Time now for some money news. EV maker Rivian is getting a big green thumbs up from Volkswagen.
CNBC's Silvana Henao turns us with that and other money news. Hey, Silvana.
Hey guys, good morning to you. Well, shares of Rivian are soaring as Volkswagen says it will invest up to $5 billion in the electric vehicle maker. It's part of a new joint venture to share EV software and technology. VW's investment will give Rivian the necessary cash to develop its less expensive and smaller R2 SUVs that are set to roll out in 2026. OpenAI is delaying the release of its ChatGPT voice assistant because of technical issues. It will launch to all paying customers this fall. Now, voice features have been part of ChatGPT since last year. In May, OpenAI showed off an upgraded version that sounded so human-like. It was compared to Samantha, that's the voice assistant from the movie Her, played by Scarlett Johansson, where she accused the company of copying her voice after denying permission to use it. And the New York Times is moving some of its top podcasts behind a paywall as it looks to generate more revenue. Reports say the Times is exploring making only the 3 most recent episodes of The Daily available to non-subscribers and new episodes of Serial exclusive to subscribers for a limited time. The company is expected to gradually shift more shows behind the paywall, tying most to a subscription service, guys.
Interesting to see if that works. All right, Silvana,
We'll see.
thank you so much.
Sure. And basketball is already back with the 2024 NBA draft getting underway tonight here in New York. We will see a packed Barclays Center in Brooklyn as the sport's top new talent anxiously await their turn to officially become a professional.
Just days after the Boston Celtics celebrated their latest championship, the stars of tomorrow will get their chance to shine in the NBA spotlight for the first time. That begins with the Atlanta Hawks, who have that coveted first pick.
Joining us now with a preview is friend of the show, Kavitha Davidson. Always joins us on our basketball stories. She's a sports writer and co-author of Loving Sports When They Don't Love You, Back Dilemmas of the Modern Fan. Kavitha, always great to have you, and always great to have you explain a lot of what's happening in the sports world to me. So unlike the WNBA draft, there isn't an obvious choice, it seems, for that first pick like Caitlin Clark was. Who do you think the Hawks will take?
Yeah, this is an interesting draft because there isn't really a consensus best player or number one pick. Right now, most of the experts seem to think that the Atlanta Hawks are going to draft Zachary Risacher. He's a forward from France. He's a versatile shooter, a spot-up shooter. He's got these long arms on defense, and he's a true two-way player. But this is one of the more wide-open drafts, especially in the lottery picks that we've seen in a while.
So last year, there was less of a surprise. There were high-profile names, but Victor Wembanyama ended up getting picked, and he ended up winning Rookie of the Year, so it looks like it was a good choice. Do we have the same level of overall star power in this year's draft as there was last year?
You know, we really don't. And you know, part of that is just that drafts are kind of cyclical. You have to think about when freshman classes come in, and you're not guaranteed a bunch of star power in a freshman class every year. There's also a dynamic here where, you know, NIL rights, name, image, and likeness rights, and the transfer portal have meant that players are staying in college to develop more. They don't need to jump to the pros as quickly in order to make money. And then, you know, what you're kind of seeing with this draft is that while there might not be the one game-changing, franchise-changing player, there are several players, especially in the middle of the draft, that people think are going to be hidden gems that will help catapult a team that is right on the brink into playoff contention.
Kavitha, another storyline this year is where Bronny James will land. LeBron on the Lakers. Is there any chance that he's going to have these dreams of playing alongside his son fulfilled?
Yeah, so let's keep in mind that this is the first year that the draft is split into 2 days. So the second round will be Thursday. And after you get past this first round tonight, talk of Bronny James will be dominating tomorrow, essentially. I think that there's a fairly good chance that he lands on the Lakers. It might be a publicity stunt, but it's also something to keep his dad happy. I think the issue there is that the Lakers are really in a win now mode, and Bronny might take up a roster spot, but you know, it's Los Angeles, and we know what to expect there.
Is there, Kavitha, a team that really needs to have a good pick here that could really be a game changer for them?
I think there's been some interesting talk about what the Spurs might be doing, especially in that first round with 2 picks there. There's some talk that they could be trading up. There's some talk that some teams ahead of them could be trading down, possibly to get Donovan Clingan from UConn. Again, this is one of the more wide open drafts that we've seen in a while, and it's going to be a little bit messy and really fun tonight.
I saw Donovan play against my Northwestern Wildcats. It was like an adult playing children.
Yeah.
It's just like smacking the ball away from everyone.
That's how I feel watching LeBron sometimes, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Kavitha Davidson, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, the Summer Olympics now just 1 month away.
And when we come back, we'll introduce you to one Olympic hopeful whose road to Paris has been full of hurdles. His story next on Morning News Now.
Welcome back. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is extending invites to nearly 500 artists and executives to join their ranks this year. This list includes familiar favorites like Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon and Oscar winner Da'Vine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers. Now, each invited class also brings out some surprises over who isn't an Academy member yet. For example, Harry Potter series director David Yates is also on this year's list. There's also a major push by the Academy to create a younger and more diverse body of members ever since the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite trend going viral back in 2015, almost a decade ago. In fact, the Academy says this year's class is made up of 44% who identify as women, 41% are from underrepresented ethnic and racial communities, 56% are from countries and territories outside the U.S. So important to continue to diversify the Oscar ranks. We see the results of that in the actual who gets nominated, who wins the Oscar.
It'll be interesting to see how it changes as this changes. Thanks, Joe. Well, finally this morning, we are 1 month away from the 2024 Paris Olympics. Well, Cordell Tinch is hoping to secure a spot on the U.S. team racing the 110-meter hurdle event. Now, his road to the Olympics has been full of obstacles, but instead of falling down, he has jumped right over them. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has his story.
For Cordell Tinch, hurdles are the perfect event.
I've had a lot of races where I'm in last place at this exact point here.
His life has been full of them. Your path was anything but a straight track. You were all over the place.
Absolutely everywhere.
Knowing that, what would an Olympic berth mean to you, to Cordell, as an athlete and as a person?
Apparently, when they used to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an Olympic athlete. I don't know any kids that say that.
That dream began in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where Cordell was raised by his mom, Elizabeth, affectionately known at the track as Mama Tinch.
Yes, he's my child, but I still feel like he's my best friend.
She was just 16 when she had Cordell.
We were in a shelter because I was homeless. But seeing him, it made me say, okay, Elizabeth, you can cry later, but you got to get this done today because he needs to eat.
Despite plenty of challenges growing up, athletics came naturally to Cordell, who earned a scholarship to compete at the University of Minnesota, then transferred to Kansas. But when the pandemic struck, Tinch struggled without structure, going back home to work. You were selling cell phones, installing cable, dealing with manufacturing machines for toilet paper. Is that all accurate?
Yep. Only thing we're missing is I was also a part-time moving company person as well.
Elizabeth was not going to let her son's dreams dissipate.
Everyone seeing what he didn't see just yet and just being there for him when he does finally see it.
So in January 2023, Tinch joined D2 Pittsburgh State University in Kansas. 5 months later, Cordell shocked everyone.
He comes over the next hurdle with all kinds of energy.
Running the fastest time in the world that year in the 110-meter hurdles.
He can literally do anything he wants. He's a once-in-a-generation talent.
His meteoric comeback continuing at Nationals, where Elizabeth's heart rate nearly matched her son's. He's now aiming to make good on that childhood dream of competing at the Olympics for himself and his mom.
I always put my mom on like the highest pedestal.
This gave you a sense of purpose for her.
Absolutely.
They've already traveled so far together, and now they hope their next stop, the City of Lights. Sam Brock, NBC News, Pittsburgh, Kansas.
All right, I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for Mom.
I know, right? Oh, and she said he's my best friend.
I know. I love
sweet.
that. What a great story. Thank you, Sam, for that. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, a destructive deluge of dangerous flooding slamming millions across the Midwest. That massive swath of severe storms now barreling toward the East Coast. We've got team coverage of it all coming up in just a moment. Also this morning, we're now just 1 day away from a historic presidential debate rematch. It'll once again pit President Biden against former President Trump in the first debate of the 2024 election cycle. But a burning question remains before the two candidates even take the stage. Who will Mr. Trump pick for his VP? That question could be settled as early as this week. We've got the latest. Plus, the summer travel season is shaping up to be hot, hot, hot. The TSA now expected to screen more than 30 million flyers over the upcoming July 4th holiday. So what are the airlines doing to prepare for what could be a record-breaking seasonal surge? We've got more on that as a summertime uptick in COVID cases nationwide threatens to cool off some vacation plans. And later in the hour, the Olympic makeover that truly is letting the City of Light shine. We are marking 1 month until the Paris Summer Games. World will be watching. I know you're excited.
I am excited. I will be there. I'll
Yes.
be in Paris to cover them. I'm so excited. It's my first Olympics, so I'll have to get
Very
tips
cool.
because Joe's been.
Can't wait for that. We're going to start this hour in the Midwest, where at least 2 people are dead after a string of storms barreled across the region. Parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa are all underwater, with several towns forced to evacuate.
Meanwhile, states in the east are bracing for a double whammy as this storm system moved towards the coast, where some cities are on track for record high temperatures. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus has the latest on this extreme weather.
We are actively watching this shoreline erode. We've seen trees fall into the river all morning. A playground that was here yesterday, now gone. And officials are pleading with people trying to take pictures of this scene behind me to stay away. Their fear, if someone accidentally falls in, there's no way first responders can go in for a rescue. This morning, destructive flooding causing chaos across the Midwest. In South Dakota, homes near Big Sioux River underwater, while cars and SUVs are floating on roads turned into rivers. Officials there warning residents to be on constant alert.
It's just a reminder that these situations change quickly.
In Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz surveying completely submerged communities.
We're not out of the woods yet. Water levels are still rising.
Residents near Mankato bracing for the possible total failure of the Rapidan Dam after intense rain and rapidly rising floodwaters caused the section next to the dam to give way.
That's our life.
And overnight, more devastation. In a dramatic scene, a portion of this home fell into the river.
Oh, my.
Jenny Barnes and her brother David grew up and work here. David lived in the house by the river with their dad.
We know the house is gone. We know we'll never be able to go back in that house.
The store is the main thing we want to try to keep because we cannot replace the damn store.
They aren't swearing. That's the name of their family business. A historic cafe, affectionately called the Dam Store, operating more than a century.
That's our livelihood.
In Sioux City, Iowa, water levels are receding, but residents aren't out of the woods yet. Rich and Amy evacuated their mother, but they still can't reach her flooded home.
Devastating. Very, very, devastating. Mom's worried about her furniture. She's worried about her keepsakes.
With a strong line of thunderstorms already wreaking havoc across Michigan Tuesday, the state is expecting even more rain by the end of the week. But through it all, neighbors have been helping neighbors.
The outreach has been overwhelming. Everything, the support means a lot.
And during our conversation with Jenny and her brother, we were sitting on a swing near the playground. That swing is now gone. Another reason authorities are pleading with people to stay away. The surface looks solid, but it's not. Back to you.
All right, Adrian, stay safe. Thank you.
For more, let's check in with meteorologist Angie Lassman.
She's got the latest on these storms. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We've got the severe storms. We've got the extreme heat. We're dealing with it all here over the next couple of days. So let's start with the heat alerts. We've got 48 million people under these alerts at this time. Notice most of those are focused across parts of the southern plains to the Gulf Coast and then parts of the southeast. But we've also got some in the mid-Atlantic, too. Here's the deal with temperatures. 90s for sure for a lot of folks. We're going to see high 90s in a couple spots like Tulsa. We'll see Houston head to 96 degrees. But notice places like Dallas, Atlanta, Raleigh, all into the triple digits for the actual temperatures. We'll deal with feels like temperatures in places like Jackson and New Orleans that are over 100. So either way, it's going to be a steamy one once again across this region. That goes for tomorrow, too. Not much in the way of improvement when it comes to these temperatures. Triple digits, high 90s on the table. And guess what? We roll into the weekend with really more of the same across the south. We're going to stay hot in places like Little Rock, 99 degrees on Saturday. We see 98 for Atlanta on both Saturday and Sunday, and even Jacksonville sitting into those mid-90s here through at least the weekend. Now, the severe storms, that we've got a couple of spots that we're going to closely watch here over the next day or so. We've got mainly this area through the morning hours. This is where we're already seeing some of those severe thunderstorm watches and warnings this morning. But by the time we get into the afternoon hours, that system's going to be on the move, and we watch most of the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Northeast, stretching back towards Ohio, Kentucky, included in some of these stronger storms that are going to be possible. We're mostly concerned about the wind gusts, talking over 60 miles per hour, but the hail, maybe a tornado or two, can't be ruled out. That's going to go through tonight and potentially into the overnight hours. You see how the system moves. We'll watch for that I-95 corridor to see some of those stronger storm skies, but the good news is this will be out of here by the time we get out the door for the early morning commute tomorrow.
Oh, that's good. Get it out of here.
Yes. Thank you, Angie.
President Biden and former President Donald Trump are making their final preps for tomorrow's first presidential debate of the 2024 election. Well, now sources tell NBC News that Mr. Trump could announce his running mate earlier than expected. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us from Atlanta with the latest. Gabe, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Good morning. President Biden has been preparing for this debate at Camp David for just under a week. Former President Trump has been at Mar-a-Lago after holding some public events over the weekend. Tomorrow's showdown will mark the first time a current president has ever debated a former commander-in-chief.
This morning, a day before the historic debate between President Biden and former President Trump, there are new signs the Republican ticket could be set faster than expected.
We'll make a decision fairly soon, and I think people will be very happy with this decision.
Four sources familiar with the situation tell NBC News there have been high-level discussions about moving the timeline for announcing Trump's pick for vice president to as early as this week to make a splash. Among the top contenders, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senators J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. all expected to be here in Atlanta for Thursday night's debate. All at some point have criticized their possible running mate. Burgum, last year as a presidential candidate, said he wouldn't do business with Trump.
I just think that it's important that you're judged by the company you keep, and You just wouldn't do business with him? No, I wouldn't.
This was Vance back in 2016.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
And this was Rubio in 2016 when he ran for president against Trump.
What we are dealing with here, my friends, is a con artist.
Ahead of the debate, Trump and his allies are ramping up their attacks on President Biden, accusing him, without evidence, of planning to use performance-enhancing drugs tomorrow.
Hey, he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up.
The Biden campaign firing back, saying Donald Trump is so scared of being held accountable for his toxic agenda that he and his allies are resorting to desperate, obviously false lies. Meanwhile, President Biden's team is trying to win over moderate Republican voters by announcing overnight the endorsement of former Illinois Congressman and frequent Trump critic Adam Kinzinger.
It's because of my unwavering support for democracy that today, as a proud conservative, I'm endorsing Joe Biden for re-election.
Also this morning, results from closely watched House primaries. Overnight, Jamaal Bowman, a controversial progressive Democrat from New York, a fierce critic of Israel, losing his race. While in Colorado, outspoken Trump supporter Lauren Boebert winning after switching districts.
Back to the debate. Some of the rules are very different from previous years. There will be no live studio audience. If a candidate goes over their allotted time, their microphone will be muted. And there will be commercial breaks, although campaign staff will not be allowed to interact with their candidate at any time. Joe?
All right, Gabe, thank you so much. And we're going to have special live coverage and analysis of tomorrow's debate hosted by CNN. Our coverage gets underway at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The debate will begin at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. You can watch here on NBC News Now as well as on NBC.
Well, the Supreme Court is set to issue another round of rulings this morning. That means some of the hot-button issues that are at the center of this year's election could be decided by justices as early as today.
Those issues include former President Trump's claim of immunity from prosecution in the election interference case, abortion rights, and the fate of some January 6th rioters. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us with more on what we can expect. Big week. This is rare. We have 3 days in a row where we're expecting decisions. Let's walk through some of them, starting with presidential immunity. What are the possibilities here?
Presidential immunity is the biggie. And here's what I don't think you'll see. I don't think you'll see a decision that presidents, ex-presidents have absolute immunity in all instances. But on the other hand, I'm certain you're not going to see a decision that presidents, former presidents, have zero immunity whatsoever, which is pretty close to what the courts below decided. So I'm pretty sure you're going to see something that is different than what the appellate court concluded in this case. You're going to see something in the middle. After all, that's what each party is arguing. Neither side is arguing for the extreme. The government admits that there are core executive functions that are entitled to some kind of defense. They don't like to call it immunity, but they're entitled to something. On the other hand, Trump's team concedes in oral argument that purely private conduct does not get immunity. So we know that we're going to get something in the middle. Where that middle is, nobody knows.
Let's talk about a January 6th related case. So this is a rioter who was charged with obstructing an official proceeding who brought this. Walk us through the ramifications here. And also, how could this impact the former president himself, if at all?
If a federal law says thou shalt not destroy, tamper with evidence and documents, and then the next line of that law says, or otherwise obstruct an official proceeding, does that second sentence mean otherwise any way that you obstruct an official proceeding is a crime? Or is that second sentence governed by the words that came before it? If you tamper with, destroy, disable, like on the airplane, tamper with, destroy, disable the smoke detector, or otherwise interfere with the flight. Are we talking about just smoke detectors or any way that you might interfere with the flight? Same question with this federal statute. It really is a question of statutory interpretation. Why it's so significant is it may affect a large swath of January 6 defendants who were charged with this crime, and it may affect Donald Trump. Although there's an argument to be made that by submitting fake electors, that was a kind of tampering with documents that the January 6 rioters did not commit. But the bottom line is this is a very significant statute. In a way, not as important as immunity, but has the potential to affect Donald Trump's federal criminal prosecution in a major way.
Interesting to hear that. All right, we've also got 2 years after Roe versus Wade was overturned, abortion is in front of the Supreme Court. This basically pits the federal government against the state government in Idaho. It involves patient care. What should we know about this?
And normally when the federal government, a statute goes up against a state statute, normally the state statute loses. But here's the federal law. It's been around for a while. It requires any hospital with an emergency room that accepts federal funding through Medicare, they are required to stabilize a patient who comes into the emergency department. What does stabilize mean? Does it mean provide abortions? Well, an Idaho law says no abortions, basically, under almost every circumstance. There are minor exceptions, but this is one of the strictest non-abortion laws in the land. So the question becomes, does that federal law that requires stabilization, if it requires an abortion, does that override the Idaho law? And the thing to be cautious of is that this federal law has long said, we're not creating a medical malpractice standard nationwide. The states are supposed to decide their own medical malpractice standards, their own medical treatment standards. So this is a really interesting, what's called a supremacy clause case.
Danny Savalos, we appreciate you as always.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich appeared in a Russian courtroom this morning. It has been 15 months since he was arrested on espionage charges. The American journalist, his employer, and the U.S. government all deny the accusations against him. NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobiea is following the developments. Kelly, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. The opening day lasted just a few hours in the same city where Evan Gershkovich was detained, and it took place behind closed doors. No reporters, family, or U.S. Embassy staff allowed inside. Cameras were allowed for a brief few moments before the secret trial began. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow said this morning these charges are without evidence and are an attempt by Russia to achieve political goals. If he was nervous, he wasn't showing it. Evan Gershkovich, head shaved, facing throngs of cameras this morning. The 32-year-old journalist offering a small smile before the doors closed on his secret trial.
Have you managed to visit Evan? Here? Yeah. No, we have not.
To even call it a trial is unfair to Evan, the Wall Street Journal said Tuesday in an open letter, adding in part, no evidence has been unveiled, and we already know the conclusion. This bogus accusation of espionage will inevitably lead to a bogus conviction for an innocent man. Gershkovich was arrested in the city of Yekaterinburg in March of last year. The fluent Russian speaker was on assignment and accredited by the Russian government, his Russian-born parents telling Andrea Mitchell.
He was mostly interested in people and telling people's story.
Russian prosecutors accused Gershkovich of collecting secret information about the country's main tank manufacturer while offering no evidence. Charges he, his employer, and the State Department have called completely fabricated.
They have made false claims about his behavior, about his actions, about associations with the United States government that simply aren't true.
The journalist has been held for 455 days, most of it in a Moscow prison.
He remains hopeful for his release. He's not broken, neither physically or mentally. He's in good spirits.
His parents, in an earlier courtroom visit, spoke to him through a glass cage, but today they were not allowed to be by his side.
We are keeping ourselves optimistic. That's the best way we can cope with it. No pessimism. Pessimism will kill all the hope.
Hoping the nightmare will soon be over. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in prison. The U.S. has classified Gershkovich as wrongly detained. President Putin has already strongly hinted he wants a prisoner swap to secure the release of a Russian man jailed in Germany for murder in exchange for Evan's freedom. Now, it's not clear how long this entire process is going to last. Joe, it could be months. He is next set to appear in court on August 13th. Joe.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much.
Well, we are still more than a week away from the 4th of July holiday, but millions of people already heading out for vacation. The TSA says it set a new record for passengers screened in a single day this weekend, hitting nearly 3 million travelers. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park is live at Chicago O'Hare Airport, where I imagine things are busy. Kathy, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. You're absolutely right. We've been here for a couple hours. It's been pretty busy, and things are expected to get a lot worse toward the end of the week. According to the TSA, we're anticipating millions on the move. It's supposed to be a peak travel day on Friday, giving us a preview of what will likely be a record-breaking summer.
If it feels like airports are more crowded than ever before, that's because they are. The TSA says 7 of the top 10 busiest travel days ever have happened over the past month.
It seems to be taking longer. It gets a little bit more frustrating.
The agency expects to screen more than 32 million airline passengers starting tomorrow through Monday, July 8th. The airlines are gearing up too. United says it's expecting about 5 million travelers over the extended 4th of July period. That's up 7% from last year.
We know that we've done what we can to prepare and get ready for it.
United says it's hired more than 4,000 new employees this year and is on pace for its busiest summer ever. Delta, launching its premium Delta One lounge at JFK Airport today, says it's also ready for the travel crunch.
Memorial Day weekend was a very significant high watermark for us. I think the 4th of July will be another higher watermark.
Travel experts say the high demand comes as airfares have dropped from last year's peak.
The good news is prices for 4th of July, though they are typically higher than the average summer prices, they were lower than what we saw last year by about 18%.
While there's no way to completely avoid the crowds, experts say you can save yourself time and hassle by planning ahead. Arrive early. Set aside extra time for parking and airport traffic. Download your airline's app. Sign up for a trusted traveler program like TSA PreCheck or Global Entry. And maybe most important, try to keep cool. Patience and a friendly attitude can make the journey less stressful.
Being kind, being courteous, it really goes a long way, especially around these kinds of busy holiday travel periods.
And Savannah, another tip to pass along: if your holiday travel plans are flexible, experts say you might want to consider flying out July 3rd or July 4th, the holiday itself, to avoid the larger crowds. And if you haven't booked your summer travel just yet, you probably want to do that now. You can actually snag some good deals, save some money if you travel on Tuesday, Wednesday, and plan on returning midweek. Savannah?
All right, Kathy, love the tips. Thank you so much.
I flew once on the night of the 4th of July, so as you just flew across, you just saw the fireworks across the country.
That's very cool. And it was probably kind of chill because everybody's down there watching them.
It was, yeah, exactly. So, all right, much more to come here on this hour of Morning News Now, including another travel headline for you. COVID cases are back on the rise across the country, so how can you stay safe when on the move? Our doctor's in.
But first, day 2 of jury deliberations in that highly publicized trial of accused murderer Karen Reed, why her defense team says she was framed. Those stories and more are up next.
Welcome back. In Boston, the jury is entering a second day of deliberations in the high-profile murder trial of Karen Reed. She's accused of hitting her police officer boyfriend with her SUV, then leaving him to die. Her defense team says Reed is being framed. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin joins us now with more on this. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. This high-profile case has captured the attention of social media sleuths and hundreds of pink-striped Karen Reed supporters who gather outside Norfolk Superior Courthouse. Her defense claims this is all one big cover-up and their client is the scapegoat, while the prosecution argues the evidence speaks for itself.
This morning, jury deliberations are underway in Massachusetts in the highly publicized and social media crazed murder trial of Karen Reed.
Karen, how are you feeling leaving court today?
Right now, I don't know if nerves are the right word. Anticipation.
The 44-year-old is accused of killing then-boyfriend Boston police officer John O'Keefe in 2022, with prosecutors arguing she ran him over with her SUV outside the home of another officer in Canton following a night of drinking, accusing her of fleeing the scene and leaving him to die in blizzard-like conditions.
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Those are the words of the defendant.
Reed, who did not take the stand in her own defense, has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, and leaving the scene of a collision. The 2-month-long trial coming to an end on Tuesday, with the prosecution leaning into what they describe as a constellation of facts and evidence, including broken taillight pieces recovered in the snow, which they argue are from Reed's SUV, and O'Keefe's DNA recovered on the back of Reed's vehicle. The case growing into a phenomenon online, with social media sleuths turning out new theories about the investigation.
Somehow they found a clear glass in the snow right away.
and yet we're unable to see any of the red taillight in the snow?
Aidan Kearney, a controversial blogger by the name of Turtle Boy, spearheading Reed's online support.
Every single minute wasted going after Karen Reed is time that could be spent going after the actual people who killed.
And helping boost the defense's long-held stance, their client is being framed by the Massachusetts State Police, saying John O'Keefe was beaten and dragged outside by a fellow officer.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a cover-up in this case, plain and simple,
in which the prosecution has repeatedly denied as false.
There is no conspiracy.
Last year, Reed recalling that fateful night to Dateline's Dennis Murphy.
Did you say, I wonder if I hit him? Did I kill him?
I said, could I have hit him?
Now, with Reed's fate lying in the hands of a jury, anticipation building over a final verdict.
Prosecutors say Reed and O'Keefe had been drinking at a local bar with friends before they got into an argument that night and claim the couple's relationship had been falling apart over cheating accusations. Now, if convicted, Reed faces life in prison. We should also note that pro-Karen Reed blogger Turtle Boy was arrested and charged last year for witness intimidation, which he has denied.
Wow. A lot going on there. All right.
Holy moly, that is a saga.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we are following some breaking news out of Australia this morning. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been welcomed home as a free man after striking a plea deal with the Justice Department. He was greeted at the airport by cheering supporters, later lifting his wife off the ground in an embrace. Assange pleaded guilty to one conspiracy charge in a U.S. court in the Northern Mariana Islands, with the judge sentencing him to time served in a British prison. Assange's wife later addressed supporters.
Julian wanted me to sincerely thank everyone. He wanted to be here. But you have to understand what he's been through. He needs time. The fact is that this case is an attack on journalism. It's an attack on the public's right to know, and it should never have been brought. Julian should never have spent a single day in prison. But today we celebrate, because today Julian is free.
Following the sentencing, the Justice Department said Assange was banned from entering the United States. His return to Australia wraps up a 14-year legal saga that saw him spend 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
More international news now. South Korea says a suspected hypersonic missile launched by the North has exploded.
NBC's Claudia Lavanga is in Rome with that and more. Claudia, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. South Korea's military says that a suspected hypersonic missile launched by North Korea has exploded mid-flight on Wednesday. Now, according to South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff, the missile was launched in the early hours of Wednesday morning and was flying toward North Korea's eastern waters when it exploded. South Korean authorities said the launch generated more smoke than usual, possibly because of an engine fault. Let's move to Britain now, where a Conservative cabinet minister has admitted placing 3 bets on the date of the general election before Prime Minister Rishi Sunak officially announced it. Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack told the BBC that back in April, he bet that the election date will fall between July and September, weeks before Rishi Sunak announced it will be held on July the 4th. He said he bet only £20, a little more than $20, and made a return of 120. But he denies to have had any knowledge of the actual date until it was announced. And let's end this tour of the world in East Africa, where an aerial study revealed that about 6 million antelopes are migrating through East Africa. Large migrations of land mammals are common in that area, but this breaks every previous world record as the biggest migration so far. It is more than double the size of the celebrated annual Great Migration between Tanzania and Kenya, which involves about 2 million animals. Well, actually, it's 3 times that then. Well, the animals continue to migrate across the region despite decades of civil war and instability in South Sudan, making that journey even more treacherous. Very impressive. Back to you guys.
Wow, it really is. So cool to see. Claudia, thank you.
Coming up, is it a case of summertime sickness?
After the break, the reported uptick in COVID cases across the country that could really put a damper on all that summer travel. How you can stay healthy while you take that much-deserved getaway. That's up next. We're back with a concerning new trend regarding COVID cases across the U.S. New CDC data shows up to 39 states are seeing an uptick in infections, and with summer travel on track to break records, already this weekend we've broken some, health experts are urging people to take extra safety measures to keep themselves and others healthy. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel is with us this morning to explain what is going on here and how worried we should be and what we can do. Dr. Patel, good morning. So we're seeing increases in both COVID deaths as well as emergency room visits. In addition to that, the CDC says hospitalizations are up 25%. That's from May 26th up to June 1st. Why are we seeing a spike now after the traditional cold and flu season?
Yeah, great question. And who thought we'd be in the summer talking about COVID again, but here we are. So a couple of things are driving this. First of all, we had some limited immunity during this past season. We had kind of lower levels of COVID. That means people weren't getting as infected and developing that immunity. And that's why you're seeing an uptick now. Second, it is so hot that people are crowding indoors to stay out of the heat. And that just gives you an environment where you can give it to each other. And the third is a subvariant. It's LB1, which is actually a little bit more infectious. We hear this a lot, right? With the new variants, each one gets a little bit more infectious, not necessarily more severe, but easier to give and get. And that's what's driving this spike.
Yeah, so tell us, this likely to become the dominant strain, right? This LB1.
Yes.
Are the symptoms different variant by variant? I mean, I remember when this was happening. I mean, by the way, does anybody else here new strain and kind of have PTSD from this? But you wouldn't necessarily really feel different. Maybe it was a little bit more severe, but it was more about the way it's able to move between people who may have immunity to some other strain. What about now? What do we know now?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yes, in terms of symptoms, it's still pretty similar. And here's the only thing I would say is that if you think, hey, I'm a little sick, but it doesn't seem like COVID, you probably should just check anyway, because many times if it's a GI bug, we're seeing GI bugs going around. We're seeing some people come in and the first symptom is like an eye infection, a viral kind of conjunctivitis, and they're like, that can't be COVID. But it can be. So it mimics cold and kind of flu symptoms, but it can also present in slightly unusual ways, but nothing that would make you say, oh, wow, this definitely must be COVID. So I just want to kind of prompt people, when in doubt, get it checked out.
So what should people do to keep themselves, but also really importantly, others safe? Maybe you're sick of wearing that mask. Maybe you forgot about it. Maybe you don't own them anymore. But what do you need to keep in mind, not just for yourself, for other people?
Yeah, so we're going to show on the screen, we're going to show some tips, and I think that each one of them are worth kind of ticking through. But let me underscore something here. A lot of us have gotten rid of our tests at home. You know, we used to have them all. You could get them in pretty easily. You still can, but we need to get those tests back again so we can check so that when you're sick that you can actually just stay away. CDC does recommend that if you do test positive that you should put a mask on and limit movement with kind of immunocompromised people. But those are the basics.
Specifically, what advice would you give to those who are more vulnerable to COVID-19, like older Americans, things like that, especially since, like you mentioned, it's kind of hard to imagine we're talking about this when it's summertime and it feels warm out and we're not getting sick around this time normally.
Right. So keeping up to date on vaccines, we expect a new fall vaccine, but that's several months away. So you can still go in and get one shot, and that can protect you. It doesn't protect you right away, but it starts the immunity after a couple of weeks. And then, of course, I would say make sure that you do something. If you are with immunocompromised people, besides the masking and washing your hands, I would absolutely make sure that air circulation. Don't forget, good air can help you not spread this.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you for being here. Really good tips, good information. We appreciate it. All right, let's get you to some financial headlines now. CDK Global, that's the retail software company behind that massive ongoing auto dealer outage. They say restoration finally underway, but there's a catch. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Yeah, so CDK Global just doesn't expect its car dealer management software to be restored before the end of the month. Now, this was after being hit by a cyber attack last week. In a memo, the company has asked dealers that use its system to make alternate plans for their month-end financial closing process. The CDK network outage has forced some car dealers to switch back to manual paperwork. The attack has reportedly impacted about half of Volkswagen and 60% of Audi dealers in the U.S. Disney is putting Genie Plus back in the bottle, overhauling how people make reservations for rides and other attractions at Disney World. Starting in late July, guests will be able to pre-book their ride times up to 14 days in advance instead of waiting until 7 a.m. the day they're heading to one of the parks. Genie Plus is being renamed the Lightning Lane Multipass. It will offer faster access to most rides, where you'll be able to reserve up to 3 rides in one park ahead of your visit. And a union representing film and TV crews in Hollywood have reached a tentative deal on a new contract with the major studios. The agreement includes pay hikes and measures to protect against the use of artificial intelligence. The union, which includes lighting technicians and costume designers, will vote on the deal with the studios, which include Disney and Netflix. This deal follows the contract struck by the Actors Union late last year that ended a 6-month strike.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, coming up, if you can believe it, we are now just 1 month out from the Paris Summer Olympic Games. After the break, the Olympic makeover that's really letting the City of Light shine. Stay with us. That's up next. Welcome back. We are exactly 1 month away from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. And while final touches are coming together in the City of Light, there is still a long road ahead for Olympic hopefuls. NBC News Chief International Correspondent Keir Simmons joins us now with more on the preparations from Paris. Keir, I cannot wait to get there. I cannot wait to see you. Good morning.
Yeah. I can't wait, Savannah, to see you standing here in front of the Eiffel Tower. Look at it. Look at the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower there. I'll just locate you a little bit. Just down below me is what they're going to call the Champions Plaza. It's pretty much ready. Further that back, behind the Eiffel Tower, there's going to be the beach volleyball, pretty much ready. We've seen the sand there. You're about to see that. Further back, another venue for the wrestling and judo. It's pretty much ready. France, Paris is basically ready. Paris 2024, or as they call it here, Paris 2024. This morning, iconic parts of Paris have had an Olympic makeover. Under the Eiffel Tower, the beach volleyball stadium now has 2,000 tons of imported sand.
We really welcome the world to come and to join us this summer.
Close by, a first look at the judo and wrestling venue, with almost 8,000 spectators expected.
It's going to be crazy. We have a magnificent stadium.
At the famed Place de la Concorde, where history has often been made, Olympic breakdancing will premiere. Well, next door, look at this. The iconic Champs-Élysées already partially pedestrianised for the Games. The city of Paris itself becoming an Olympic venue. Most venues repurposed, such as the Stade de France, built for France's '98 Soccer World Cup, getting ready to host athletics competitions. And this aquatic centre, one of the few purpose-built facilities. NBC News got exclusive access to Team USA's training centre. Among the innovations there this Olympics, Intel trialling an AI app helping Olympian or Paralympian quickly find their way around. Look at that, we're here.
Technology that allows essentially turn-by-turn directions indoors.
The stunning opening ceremony now just a month away. But after a massive effort to clean the Seine for Olympians to swim in, new concerns this morning. A report from the city finding levels of contamination remain unsafe after recent heavy rains. The IOC and Paris 2024 did not immediately respond to inquiries, but officials have repeatedly told NBC News the river will be ready. You are a long way from Seattle. This family from Washington State now live on a Paris houseboat. They'll move to make way for the Games.
To compensate for moving our boat, they are giving us 5 opening ceremony tickets. We are so excited about the Olympics. We just cannot wait. It's once in a lifetime. It's one of my dreams.
I guess she knows all about relocation already, right, Savannah? Listen, all eyes on the river. We did speak to the Paris mayor this morning, and she was one of those who proposed the idea of swimming in the Seine. She cancelled her own swim this week because of the water quality. She tells us she will swim before the opening ceremony. She's confident the river too will be ready, Savannah.
Keir Simmons, this is so exciting. Thank you so much. What a great look, getting us all hyped. Well, we are still 1 month away the way, but already Team USA looking pretty golden because among them is sport climber Brooke Raboutou, who secured her spot at the Olympic qualifier series in Budapest just over the weekend. And we are so excited to welcome Brooke to the show right now. Brooke, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Not only did you qualify for the Summer Games over the weekend, you finished first. How's it feel?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I am just so happy. It was a really, fun weekend and a lot of emotions because it was a long journey for me. So I'm just ecstatic to finally have my ticket to Paris.
Oh, I bet. Tell us about sport climbing for people who don't know exactly what that means or what this looks like or what they might see when they tune into Paris. What does it look like?
So sport climbing, there's now 2 separate disciplines that have medals at the games. There is speed climbing, and then there is the boulder and lead combined, which is what I do. So I boulder, which is short to the ground based off of difficulty, and then lead climbing also based off of difficulty, but much further up attached to a rope and just trying to do as many moves as possible. So those scores get combined. And yeah, we compete in both throughout the rounds and try and accumulate as many points as possible for the win.
And in 2020, you became the first woman to represent the U.S. in sport climbing when it made its debut in Tokyo. What's it been like to be part of a sport that's on the relatively newer side of making an Olympic debut?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy to see the sport evolve. Like you said, I was like one of the first Olympians back in 2020. There was only 20 of us, and I qualified at the World Championships, and that was just a crazy ride. It was back then, speed was combined as well, so there was only one medal opportunity. And since then, we've seen a lot of growth in the sport, more participation, more gyms pop up, more funding for the athletes, and it's really cool to see that growth and see our sport get to be loved by so many.
Has it sunk in yet that you're heading to your second Olympics?
Yes and no. Definitely when I found out finally officially, because the scores were looking good after the first one, the first Olympic qualifier, but it's never certain till it's certain. So I just wanted to focus on the present moment until I really knew, and I kind of just let everything out, and I was so excited, and I had family there that I was able to celebrate with. So it's starting to feel real, and I'm getting really excited to fight for it in Paris.
Oh, I bet. I know you're the daughter of 2 former world champion rock climbers. What does this moment mean for your family?
I think it means a lot. My family is really, really excited for me. And to me, it means a lot because they have been such pioneers in the sport. So to get to represent them on such a big stage that they didn't get to be a part of, and they probably would have if climbing was in the Olympics back then, is really special.
Brooke, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. We are so excited for you. We cannot wait to watch you in Paris.
Thank you so much.
And be sure to tune into the Paris Olympics. They start Friday, July 26th on NBC and Peacock.
We're going to end the hour by continuing our Pride celebration, shining a light on an up-and-coming country music star. I got a chance to sit down with Orville Peck, who's a real throwback to country in the 60s and 70s. He's got a deep voice like Johnny Cash. He wears a mask like the Lone Ranger, so we don't totally know what he looks like. And he's breaking through. His label says he has 250 million streams in a genre where not too many artists are out and proud.
But I can't find, let me drown.
His voice is distinctive, even if his face is elusive. Orville Peck is a real-life mass singer who's packing music venues, making this Lone Ranger far from lonely. Where did the idea come from to actually do a mask?
I kind of liked bringing back that trope of the outlaw and the mystery behind it. And
what's the response people have to it?
The first few years were interesting. I think now everyone's kind of gotten used to it.
At first, his masks were draped with fringe. These days, he's revealing a bit more. The one thing he has never hidden is being gay. Before you were able to break through, was there a point where you thought, I'm a queer artist, that's going to make it hard for me to make it big?
I'll be honest, not really. When I first started, that didn't ever cross my mind. All I thought was I'm going to write love songs and tell stories that are my stories. And, for me, my love songs are about loving men.
See the boys as they walk on by.
Fittingly, this is the only childhood picture we have of Orville, who was born in South Africa and raised in Canada, where he first heard a Johnny Cash album and was hooked.
Roses from falling for you.
Today, many say he sounds like Cash, just one of many old-school crooners who've inspired him.
How do you describe your music to folks?
I describe my music as country, and then sometimes I get people giving me a strange, kind of like a ooh. And then I say, no, it's good country.
Being in your arms is what I came here for.
So good, his new album, Stampede, features duets with legends. A cover of Saturday Night's All Right with Elton John. A new song, Midnight Ride, with Kylie Minogue and Diplo. And this tune with one of his heroes.
Cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other. What did you think all them saddles and boots was about?
The song, titled Cowboys Are Frequently Secretly Fond of Each Other, was written in the 80s, then covered about 20 years ago by Willie Nelson, who recently asked Peck if they could sing it together.
I didn't realize how much validation and healing would sort of come from that, because I think not having queer country visibility growing up, it's like the most sort of encouraging, validating thing for that little kid in me as well, you know?
Also validating, receiving GLAAD's Vito Russo Award this year for accelerating LGBTQ+ acceptance. It was presented by his close friend, Jennifer Lawrence.
There's a solidness and a self-respect and love that Orville has for himself that he effortlessly casts onto other people.
You're maybe not on a lot of the top 40 country stations, but you have this huge following, and I feel like being yourself is a part of that, right?
1000%. The second I decided to just be myself completely unapologetically, it's when things started really connecting for other people as well.
The power of what can happen when your true self is unmasked. So as I mentioned, he has collaborated with some major music icons. So we had a little fun, and I asked him about some of those big timers. Take a look.
In one word, describe what it's like working with Elton John.
Fun.
Dip. Leave it at that. One word. Working with Diplo.
Funny.
Kylie.
Dreamy.
Willie Nelson.
Indescribable.
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
fun.
I know. He also says Elton John was like his uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it felt like.
So
Like
cool.
working with him was
Okay,
like
I'm
his
so
uncle.
into the mask and hat look.
The mask is cool, and part of it is, in case you're wondering, like it's this throwback, but it's also like he sees it the same way as like Dolly Parton wears wigs and sequins. He wears a mask. That's part of like his country
I love
persona.
that.
And
Yeah.
so now I went to his concert in Chicago, which is where we shot the interview. And what's extraordinary is like the diversity of the audience. You've got these true blue country fans who are in their 60s and 70s. You've got queer kids and drag queens, and he just loves sitting on that stage and looking out and seeing that diversity of the audience. It's part of what makes the experience so fun. We mentioned his Stampede album. Volume 1 of that duets album is already out. Volume 2 is going to drop in August. It's going to feature songs with Beck and Nikki. Guyton Volume 2 also has that Kylie Minogue song on it. It's got like a country disco thing. It's pretty cool, that song. So it's a variety of everything.
There's something about the country music genre, which I love and grew up listening to. When you see kind of some changes happening or new fans coming into it, it really feels like something.
Exactly. He's breaking through it. He's not on traditional top 40 stations, but he's finding an audience in his own way, which is really cool.
Very cool. Awesome, awesome interview.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.